Federal witness against Tren de Aragua. Location compromised 42 hours ago. Intelligence confirmed 3 professional killers crossed into Texas from Mexico 18 hours ago. Current position: heading north on Interstate 35. Estimated arrival in Dallas in 14 hours. Witness family unaware. 2 adults, 4 children, ages 3, 7, 11, and 15. Children attending school today. Normal routine. The family believes they are safe. They have no idea that 3 men with Venezuelan prison tattoos and cartel connections are driving toward them right now. Marshals Service has 14 hours to extract a family of 6 before the killers arrive. If delayed, 6 family members executed, 4 children orphaned or murdered. The witness had been the key to dismantling one of the most violent criminal organizations to emerge from Venezuela in decades. Tren de Aragua began as a prison gang in the Tocaron Penitentiary, a facility so lawless that inmates controlled every aspect of daily life. They ran nightclubs inside the walls. They operated restaurants. They manufactured weapons. They held beauty pageants where inmates competed for prizes. The Venezuelan government had effectively ceded control of the prison to gang leadership, creating a criminal state within a state. From behind those walls, gang leaders coordinated drug trafficking routes across the continent. They recruited new members from the general prison population. They established connections with Colombian cartels, Mexican trafficking organizations, and corrupt officials at every level of Venezuelan government. When members were eventually released, they carried the gang's mission into the outside world, and they built a criminal empire that eventually stretched across South America, Central America, and into the United States. By 2023, the gang had established cells in major American cities. They specialized in human trafficking, extortion, robbery, and contract killings. Their members were identified by distinctive tattoos, train imagery, clock faces, and the word Aragua in Gothic script. Many had served time in Venezuelan prisons where violence was the only currency that mattered. They brought that mentality to American streets. In Texas alone, law enforcement attributed over 40 violent incidents to the gang in an 18-month period. They were not afraid of American law enforcement. They viewed imprisonment in the United States as preferable to conditions in their home country. The gang's expansion into human trafficking proved particularly lucrative. They charged migrants thousands of dollars for passage from Venezuela through Central America and Mexico into the United States. Those who could not pay were forced into labor or sexual exploitation to work off their debts. Some never escaped. The gang operated with the ruthlessness that had defined their prison origins. Witnesses were eliminated. Competitors were tortured and killed publicly to discourage resistance. Local law enforcement struggled to penetrate their operations because potential informants knew the consequences of betrayal. The witness had been a mid-level operator in the gang's Texas network. For 18 months, the individual had facilitated the movement of trafficking victims from the border to safe houses in Dallas and Houston. The witness had seen faces, remembered names, knew which police officers were on the payroll, understood how the money moved from street-level operations to leadership in Venezuela. Federal agents arrested the witness during a trafficking operation. They presented a choice: decades in federal prison or cooperation. The witness chose cooperation. Over 6 months of debriefings, investigators received detailed information about the gang's operations in Texas, including the identities of 3 regional leaders, the locations of 12 safe houses, and the names of 14 corrupt officials who facilitated the gang's activities. The testimony led to 47 arrests. 2 regional leaders received life sentences. A third was killed in a prison fight 3 months after conviction, murdered by a fellow gang member following orders from Venezuela. The message was clear. Betrayal meant death. Even within the American prison system, the gang's reach extended. They had members in federal facilities across the country. They had connections to other prison gangs who would carry out contracts for payment. Nowhere was truly safe. Federal prosecutors warned the witness during debriefings. The gang would never stop looking. Unlike traditional organized crime families that might eventually accept a witness's disappearance, Tren de Aragua operated on a different principle. Every betrayal had to be punished, visibly and violently. To maintain discipline within the organization, witnesses were not just threats to be neutralized, they were examples to be made. The witness entered the witness security program immediately after trial. The U.S. Marshals Service relocated the entire family to a quiet suburb of Dallas, far from the urban core where the gang operated. New identities were created. A new life began. The witness found work in construction. The spouse opened a small cleaning business. The 4 children enrolled in local schools. For 14 months, the family lived without incident. They attended church on Sundays. The children played in youth soccer leagues. The 15-year-old joined the high school band. The 7-year-old lost 2 baby teeth. The 3-year-old learned to ride a tricycle. Normal life, safe life. The witness began to believe that the danger had passed. The spouse, who had known nothing of the criminal past until the arrest, gradually accepted the new reality. This was their life now. New names, new histories, new beginnings. The children adapted as children do. The youngest 3 had only vague memories of their previous life. The 15-year-old struggled more, leaving behind friends and the identity built over years. But even the teenager began to settle. Friday night football games at the local high school, a part-time job at a fast food restaurant, college applications that would list the new name, the new history. The past was fading into something that felt like a dream. Then 42 hours ago, everything changed. A Marshals Service analyst monitoring dark web communications flagged an encrypted message originating from a known Tren de Aragua server in Colombia. The message contained an address, the witness's current location. The message also contained a price, $150,000 for the complete elimination of the family. Not just the witness, the entire family, children included. The leak was traced to a database breach at a private contractor that handled administrative functions for several federal programs. A hacker with ties to Venezuelan organized crime had penetrated the system 3 weeks earlier. The hacker sold information to the highest bidder. The witness's new identity and address were among the stolen files. Within 6 hours of the dark web posting, 3 men departed Monterrey, Mexico, in a white Ford F-150 with Texas plates. All 3 were documented members of Tren de Aragua. All 3 had violent criminal histories. The driver had served 7 years in Tocaron for murder, a sentence that in the gang's culture was worn as a badge of honor. The passenger had been convicted of kidnapping and torture in Colombia, specializing in extracting information from rivals before their elimination. The third man, riding in the back seat, was suspected of at least 12 contract killings across 3 countries. None of these killings had ever resulted in prosecution. Witnesses had a way of disappearing before they could testify. Evidence had a way of vanishing from police stations. The three men traveled light. They carried false identification. They had memorized the route and the target address. They knew the children's schools, the spouse's business location, the witness's work schedule. All this information had been included in the dark web posting. Someone had done reconnaissance. Someone local had watched the family and documented their routines. The hit team was simply the execution arm of a larger operation that had been months in preparation. The hit team crossed into the United States through an unmonitored section of the border near Laredo. They avoided the main checkpoints. They paid a local smuggler to guide them through ranching property, where the fence was incomplete. By the time Customs and Border Protection realized the crossing had occurred, the killers were already 60 miles inside Texas. The Marshals Service activated an emergency response protocol. The lead deputy assigned to the case received notification at 3:47 a.m. By 4:15 a.m., a 6-person tactical team was assembled. By 5 a.m., the team was en route to the Dallas suburb, where the witness family slept peacefully, unaware that death was 14 hours away. The children would wake at 6:30 a.m. The 3-year-old would eat breakfast while watching cartoons. The 7-year-old would complain about going to school. The 11-year-old would pack a lunch. The 15-year-old would check social media on a phone. Normal morning. Last normal morning if the marshals failed. The tactical team arrived at the neighborhood at 6:12 a.m. They established surveillance positions around the block. They identified all entry and exit points. They monitored traffic patterns. An unmarked sedan parked 3 houses down. A van with tinted windows positioned at the corner. 4 deputies in civilian clothes walking dogs that weren't theirs. At 7:15 a.m., the witness left for work. Deputies followed at a distance. At 7:45 a.m., the spouse drove the 3 oldest children to school. A Marshal vehicle shadowed the minivan. The 3-year-old remained home with a babysitter, a college student who had no idea she was now inside a federal protection perimeter. Meanwhile, the hit team continued north on Interstate 35. They stopped for gas in San Antonio. Surveillance cameras at the station captured their faces. The images were run through facial recognition systems. Positive matches confirmed. 3 documented Tren de Aragua, members with extensive, violent criminal histories. The driver made a phone call lasting 4 minutes. Cell tower data indicated the call connected to a number in Venezuela. The Marshals Service coordinated with Texas Department of Public Safety, FBI, and Homeland Security investigations. A joint operation was initiated. The goal: intercept the hit team before they reached Dallas. Secondary goal: extract the witness family to a secure location before interception, in case the killers had backup or surveillance already in place. At 9:30 a.m., the decision was made to begin extraction. The witness was pulled from the construction site by deputies posing as company managers. The spouse received a call that would change everything. "This is the U.S. Marshals Service. Your location has been compromised. We are sending someone to pick you up immediately. Do not ask questions. Do not contact anyone. Leave your phone behind." At 10:15 a.m., the children were removed from school. Deputies arrived with emergency authorization. The 3 oldest were pulled from classes. The teachers were told nothing. The children were told only that their parents needed them immediately. The 15-year-old suspected something was wrong. The 11-year-old cried. The 7-year-old asked if someone had died. By 11 a.m., the entire family was reunited at a secure federal facility outside Dallas. The witness was briefed on the threat. The spouse learned for the first time that the gang had placed a bounty on the entire family. The children were not told the full truth. They were told only that they needed to move again for safety reasons. The hit team passed through Waco at 11:30 a.m. They were now 4 hours from Dallas. Traffic cameras tracked their progress. A highway patrol unit positioned itself 10 miles ahead of their vehicle, ready to initiate a stop if ordered. Federal prosecutors worked to finalize arrest warrants based on conspiracy to commit murder charges. The paperwork moved through the system with unusual speed. At 1:15 p.m., the F-150 carrying the 3 killers exited Interstate 35 near Hillsborough. They pulled into a truck stop parking lot. One of the men made another phone call. This call lasted 7 minutes. Surveillance teams watching from a distance reported that the men appeared agitated. They were gesturing toward a phone, arguing. Intelligence analysts intercepted the call. The news from Venezuela was bad. Someone had warned the gang leadership that federal agents were tracking the hit team. The contract was being reconsidered. The killers were ordered to wait for further instructions. For 2 hours, the F-150 remained parked at the truck stop. The 3 men sat inside, windows down despite the heat, watching traffic pass. They did not know that 4 federal vehicles were positioned within 200 yards. They did not know that a tactical team was staged at a warehouse 3 miles away. They did not know that arrest warrants had been approved and were being transmitted to field units. At 3:45 p.m., the men received new orders. The contract was suspended. They were told to return to Mexico immediately. The gang had learned that the witness family was no longer at the target address. The mission was compromised. The F-150 pulled out of the truck stop at 3:52 p.m., heading south on Interstate 35. The killers believed they were driving to safety. They were wrong. At 4:17 p.m., 3 marked highway patrol vehicles initiated a felony stop near Waxahachie. The F-150 pulled over without resistance. The 3 men were ordered out of the vehicle at gunpoint. They complied. They were taken into federal custody without a single shot fired. Inside the truck, investigators found 3 handguns, 2 semi-automatic rifles, 800 rounds of ammunition, flex cuffs, duct tape, and a detailed map of the Dallas suburb where the witness family had lived. The map included the family's home address, the children's schools, and the spouse's business location, written in Spanish on the margin. No one survives. Back at the secure facility, the witness family watched news coverage of the arrests on television. The children did not understand what had happened. The spouse wept. The witness sat in silence, staring at the screen, seeing the faces of the men who had been sent to murder everyone. The family would be relocated again. New identities, new city, new life. The children would change schools for the 4th time. The 15-year-old would lose touch with every friend made over the past year. The 7-year-old would ask why they had to keep moving. The 3-year-old would not remember any of it, but they would be alive. Within 12 hours of the arrests, the Venezuelan leadership of Tren de Aragua issued new instructions. Find another way. The witness remained a priority target. The hunt was not over. It would never be over. The Marshals Service understood this reality. Protection would continue indefinitely. The witness had purchased safety with testimony, but the debt would never be fully paid. Every day forward would carry risk. Every new neighborhood would require vigilance. Every school pickup would demand awareness. What was prevented? 6 family members, including 4 children, were protected from a professional hit team sent to execute them in their home. 3 children were extracted from schools before killers could use them as leverage. An entire family was spared witnessing violence that would have traumatized survivors for life. If the marshals had delayed even 6 hours, the hit team would have arrived at the family home before extraction was complete. The children would have returned from school to find armed men waiting. The youngest, at 3 years old, would have witnessed things no child should see. The 15-year-old would have tried to protect siblings and likely died first. Instead, the family lives, scattered and hidden. Their future is uncertain, but they have a future. The witness still regrets many things, but not the decision to cooperate. The testimony put 47 violent criminals in prison. The testimony disrupted a trafficking network that had victimized hundreds. The testimony mattered, and when the knock came at dawn, when the marshals arrived to say the location was compromised, the witness made the same choice again. Trust the system. Trust the protectors. Trust that safety is possible, even when the hunters never stop hunting. 14 hours. That was the margin. 14 hours between identification of the threat and arrival of the killers. 14 hours in which federal agents coordinated across agencies, tracked a hit team across hundreds of miles, extracted a family of 6, and positioned tactical units for interception. 14 hours to save 6 lives. The U.S. Marshals Service has protected thousands of witnesses since the program began. Most live, quiet lives under new identities, never again touched by the dangers they fled. Some, like this family, face ongoing threats that require constant vigilance. All of them share one thing in common: they trusted that protection was possible. Today, the family is safe. Tomorrow, the work continues. The gang still wants revenge. The witness still carries secrets worth killing for. The marshals still stand between the hunters and their prey. That is the nature of witness protection. It does not end when the trial concludes. It does not end when the defendants are sentenced. It ends only when the threat ends. For some witnesses, that day never comes. For this family, surrounded by U.S. Marshals in a location known only to a handful of people, the day has not come yet, but they are alive. 4 children sleep in beds tonight because federal agents worked faster than killers driving north. 6 family members will see tomorrow because the system worked exactly as designed. 1 witness continues breathing because the promise of protection was honored. 14 hours. That was all the time they had. That was all the time they needed.